Welcome back to Canon Fire with Adrian Marquez, Julio Vidal, and yours truly, Jim Ramos. This is segment 2 of our interview with Paul Anthony Llossas of American Culture Critic. In this segment, Paul and I discuss Star Trek, not only Beyond, but the whole reboot franchise and what makes it special. So join us now at an undisclosed eatery. Hey, alright. Hey, welcome back to Canon Fire. We're here with Paul Anthony Llossas of American Critics. Hey.
American Culture Critic, and I'm still eating.
Oh, okay. American Culture Critics, and he's still eating.
Swine?
Yes.
Oh.
Hey. Hey, well, we're almost there. He's only got 3 fries left, okay? Hey. So, you and I are going to talk about one of my favorite franchises, Star Trek.
Yay.
Yay. Hey. Yeah, I've been a lifelong Trekkie. Okay. Now, for me, the movie was very successful, especially for the 3rd edition of this, storyline. I want to hear your comments on it.
Okay. Well, my comments are on my review for the film. However, AmericanCultureCritic.com. Thank you very much. Plug.
Plug away.
But seriously, for this reboot franchise, it is easily the best of the 3. Easily the best of the 3. Story was tight. The actors have come to represent their characters completely and totally.
So you say find their footing?
They haven't found their footing. They have basically put on the raiment, and it's a comfortable fit.
Yes, their real life has become their alter ego.
It's more than that. They're no longer encumbered by the performances of the original actors. They've taken enough to keep the characters recognizable, but still managing to make them their own. This is the first film where I wholly believed Chris Pine was Captain James T. This was the first time that I could really accept Zachary Quinto as Spock. Uhura, which basically had the most leeway, Zoe Saldana has made it her own. And probably taken to the extent that Nichelle Nichols could have taken it had times and circumstances been different. Okay? But the story was tight. Maybe the villain was a little weak in terms of the explanation at the end, in terms of development, but it really felt like a cohesive whole story in and of itself. I went in there smiling from the very beginning, and that smile remained till the very end. It was its own entity, but still managed to respect where it came from in a scene that, quite frankly, very understated, but still so powerful that I don't mind admitting that it brought a major tear to my eye. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No, I think we could go into spoilers. Can you? I mean, the movie's been out already a month, right?
Sure.
Okay. We could.
All right. Well, in spoiler territory, it's the scene where Spock is trying to decide what he's going to do after the end of the adventure, and he opens up Prime Spock's belongings and sees a picture of the original crew.
Yes.
Which is, it's a production photo from Star Trek 5, but still.
Now, we know that Leonard Nimoy has recently passed away. Mm-hmm. So them doing the same to his character in the movie was quite poignant. And it did make me cry. I know you and I had this thing about it. I don't cry at movies, but
no.
I legitimately had a tear rolling down.
I got feels, but I didn't cry. What made me cry was probably the destruction of the ship. That and the construction of the ship.
Well, that's happened several times in the franchise.
Right, but I always tear up because that was my enterprise and my generation's enterprise.
Okay, point taken, because it wasn't mine. So I'm like, oh, okay, par for the course.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Okay. Par for the course. Here we go. Blow it up. Wow, instant drama.
It's another enterprise gets blown up.
But see, here's the thing. Unlike Star Trek Generations, for example, where it was completely anticlimactic, the destruction of the ship was mostly an afterthought in terms to the story. It actually served the story. It wasn't all about the destruction of the ship, and it really helped to solidify the resolve of each of the crew members. And that's what I especially liked about this film, is that every member had had something to do, something substantial to do that contributed to the story.
Contributed to the characters. Yes, I agree. Right?
I have a question for both of you because, you know, I'm new to Trek, right? I used to hate Trek when I was growing up because I was a fanboy of Star Wars because we were pretty toys. And I was like, Trek is boring, there's no action. But then as I matured and approached Trek now, thanks to the movie, but it's also mostly because of Wrath of Khan, I've fallen in love with the writing, and I can firmly say that Trek is better than yours, at least in the writing and the character development. But my question is, how do you guys feel of not only Spock and Kirk, but both the three of them, which is the heart of the original series, the three of them, in this movie particularly, the first time we see the three of them really gel and really work together. How did you feel? Do you feel...
I'm going to let you go first.
Like an homage to that?
Well, you got to remember, or you got to be informed, whichever, that originally McCoy became the buffer for the egos of William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. Because initially it was a clash of egos because Shatner was a star, but Nimoy kept getting more mail, and they started having line countings and who's getting more screen time. And I don't remember who it was that came up with the idea, but having McCoy have a more substantial role so that he acts as the buffer between passion and logic.
Right.
And he becomes the devil advocate, and that's how that triumvirate took place. And in the first film, you really couldn't have that because the central conceit was, what if this started over and Kirk and Spock didn't like each other from the get-go? Okay, so you couldn't have that in the first one. The less said about Into Darkness, the better. But this one, enough of the establishment has taken place where now you could play with those relationships and reestablish that triumvirate, which was really well done in this film.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's one of my favorite aspects of this storyline of this franchise is that banter between him and Spock, and how the captain now seems to be the one who's acts as a buffer between those two. I have to agree that the characters and their development and how they differ from the original is actually what I like about them.
And going back to your point about Star Wars versus Star Trek, it's really apples and oranges because Star Trek, and this isn't a knock, okay? This is just an observation simply by the way each is developed. Star Trek I've always found to be more cerebral, where Star Wars is more visceral, exactly. Okay? Star Wars is pretty much for the establishment. Everything centers around Starfleet and the Federation, of building the United Federation of Planets, and cessation of hostilities and inclusion. Whereas Star Wars has always been about rebellion, about going against the man, going against tyranny. So it's two different mindsets. So it's not one that's better than the other. It's just that it caters to different aspects.
Yeah, I personally have never taken sides. I've said this before. I have said that. Why am I going to deny myself one? Because they're totally different creatures. Why am I going to draw the line somewhere? That was ridiculous.
It is human nature to choose something and stick with it. We've seen it through every aspect when you're put with an either-or subject matter. But there's something I want to talk to, both of you about, but Paul is going to notice it. When he was mentioning how one is cerebral and the other is visceral, really what kicked off in films, Wrath of Khan, was probably the most visceral of the original series film. And it started its own little trilogy of the Search for Spock trilogy.
Right.
But here's the thing. Star Wars from the very beginning was non-stop action. What was the 80s? The dawn of the action hero. We had the Stallone films, the Schwarzenegger films, Van Damme and Seagal, and so on and so forth. Everything was fighting against some united front. And here's Star Trek, where it's like, let's make everything a united front. Peace, peace, peace. Because, whatever. Gene Roddenberry in his infinite wisdom realized, hey, we should all be together and just go out there instead of us fighting each other. And Star Wars acts on that. Do you agree with my point of view, or no?
Go. I can't really add much to that because I thought you were right on.
Well, what about Paul? Do you disagree with my point of view or no?
Well, clarify the point of view. What exactly is it?
That basically Star Wars is the action hero version of sci-fi, whereas Star Trek is pretty much the Carl Sagan of sci-fi.
Yes,
Absolutely.
But it also shows in financial aspects. To go off Julio's earlier point, and to go off your point earlier, Beyond has not done well financially. It has not, and it's as much as we all like to gripe about Into Darkness and how much of a rip it is, and like we shouldn't talk about it, but it made more money, and this like really dropped. So what
You gotta remember also is that Into Darkness was heavily hyped.
right.
It was heavily hyped, whereas we didn't hear a peep about Star Trek Beyond until less than a month before release.
Right.
Nothing on television, very little
So you're
online.
saying it's marketing?
Yeah, I agree
Do
with
you
that.
agree with that?
Yeah, I said it as a matter of fact. All right, and they really didn't. It snuck up on me when Star Trek's out. Oh shit! I gotta see that. Then it took me 3 weeks to go.
Marketing was virtual. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised it's made enough money as it has without that support in marketing.
Yeah, I mean,
How many? Okay, anybody in this table? How many TV spots did you see for Star Trek Beyond leading to the day of release?
Right.
I think 2, maybe.
Right.
And that was pretty much on YouTube looking up Star Trek themes.
And how many? Okay, and in those 2, what was the time frame from the first one to the release?
15 seconds, 30 seconds.
No. I mean from the day you saw it to the day of release.
3 weeks.
Give me a ballpark. 3 weeks. Okay. How long have you been hearing about Suicide Squad before the release?
Right.
2 years.
It just feels that way, but yeah.
No, legit. It was announced, Comic-Con 2014 or something? Right after they announced BVS, they started with this whole DC slate. We're greenlighting 20 fucking movies.
Right.
Are they all going to be good? No, they're not.
And how many clips were released online? We're not just talking about trade papers, newspapers, or television. That's changed. It's all online. It's all social media.
Yeah.
How many clips were released on Suicide Squad? How many? The first image you saw was what? Batman on the Joker's car.
Yeah.
Okay, that was one of the first, if not the first image released from that. Not the Joker, but Batman on the car. Why? To establish that, guess what? If you don't know what Suicide Squad is, Batman's in it.
And Batman's DC's poster book.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to be fair,
but the marketing machine has been going and going and going before.
1 minute. To be fair, I don't watch TV, but I am online all the time now, and my experience was the exact same. Maybe a week, maybe 2 before the actual movie came out is when I heard that it was, already prepping to go into theaters. They had no online time at all. Which just kind of sucks, really, because the movie merited a lot more attention. For me, it was one of the best that's been out this year.
That's not saying much.
All right, so that is the end of segment.
Segment number 2.
That was segment number 2.
I'll go back to eating.
And well, he can. He's got time now between segments to order again. So we'll be back with segment 3 soon. And that's a wrap. I'd like to thank Paul Anthony Llossas of American Culture Critic. Always a pleasure. I love the way this guy can break a movie down for you. The good news is that this is only segment 2 of 4. Up next, Adrian Marquez is going to pick up the mantle and discuss Suicide Squad, among other things. So, you all come back now, you hear? I'd like to thank Louis Chacon and 24/7 Miami. Check them out, guys. We have the best programming on the internet. To Sam Owens of Hope's Comics, stop by and visit him, won't you? And Urban Santiago of UltraCon. UltraCon is just around the corner, folks. October 8th and 9th. Get online and check out their ticket prices. They have a great weekend deal. They also have a free event coming up on September 10th. It's cosplay and comics. Can't beat that combination. We'll be covering both events, so we'll see you there. And lastly, Fan Freaks, our Facebook page. Check us out and join up now. So from Adrian Marquez, Julio Vidal, and yours truly, Jim Ramos, see you next time. Molto bene.